Eve to me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe where you can do whatever you want.
Sorry, y'all. I've been at work this morning. All hell broke loose. Go figure. What the fuck? It's 9:30, Judge Jones Jr. Sir, I told y'all, don't expect this shit to start on time. I fucking told y'all. We've been live 34 minutes. My bad. Because I've been over here just quiet. I've been over here working this morning. Like I said, all hell broke loose this morning. So I've been over here fixing shit. And then I still ain't hear no sound. And I'm like, all right, is court going to start? Because technically, like I said, they're supposed to pick back up with Preston today. Now, who's coming after that, I have no idea. That might have been Paul, because you know Paul is bald too. Paul or Perry. Or Judge Jones, because Judge Jones is bald. We got 3 bald men in there. Judge Jones is bald. Paul Hagerman is the DA. He's bald. And then you got John Keith Perry. He bald. This is some wild shit right here. I wonder if something's going on with the jury, but I don't see how that could happen, seeing that they probably have a shuttle from the hotel to the courthouse. So I don't see how that could happen. Hang on, let me go see something. No, even Fox is hell. Fox they're not even showing the courtroom. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm getting word that we may see plea deals today. Allegedly. Defense is trying to plea. Allegedly. Yeah, allegedly, like I said, I don't know, but that's what I'm hearing, that the defense is trying to negotiate a plea deal. Well, if we get motherfucking plea deals today, y'all, Rovan, please do not accept that shit. If it's not murder, do not accept that shit. I ain't talking about no motherfucking manslaughter. I ain't talking about none. No. If it is not murder, do not accept that shit, Miss Wells. Tell the DA to do his motherfucking job. I don't think she would either, but that makes sense as to why the fuck court hasn't started. This shit is wild. Oh my, I cannot believe that. See, I knew something was up yesterday. I knew something was up yesterday when them motherfuckers, after the acquittal was denied, and we need time to get our witnesses, yada yada. I knew something was up with that shit. And no, 40 minutes late for court. ABC just cut their feed. Fat mama, you're dreaming. Fat girl. That's what the rumor is right now. Like I said, I do. This is all allegedly, so do not say Chico said. Nah, this is all allegedly. The reason why court is late is because they're trying to come up with plea deals, because yesterday court did not go well for them at all. Their own fucking witness fucked them up bad. It was to the point where the defense was hollering at their own witness. Then on top of that, the judge gave them a huge blow yesterday by sitting here telling their asses, no, you're not getting acquittal because the jury has enough to convict y'all of second-degree murder. So right now, what we've heard, because court is supposed to start around at least 9 9:15 ish. Well, we're at 9 damn near 50. At Fox's, they ain't even got a feed in the courtroom. I'm looking at Fox right now. I got Fox on my phone. They don't even have a feed going on in the courtroom. Um, the rumor this morning is that they are trying to secure plea deals because yesterday did not go well for them at all. They're fine, Miss Brittany. They're laying down. I done took them out and everything. Let me see. Hang on. Hang on, y'all. I'll be back. Hang on. Based on what I just read, there is a 30-minute delay of court. So I'm assuming that, well, really now, shit. So we shall see. But there was a 30-minute delay of court.
Judge John Jones is presiding. Be seated. No talking.
All right, we are back to the trial matter. Are there any matters that we need to address before we get started with the jury? I just want to thank you all for your patience as we need to get some things taken care of. The jury's ready with that agreement. Jurors entering the courtroom. Y'all be seated. Mr. Hill, sir, if you can come back around. Go ahead, stand up, sir. Raise your right hand. Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Please have a seat, sir. When we adjourned yesterday, we were in the middle of the cross-examination. Mr. Zoo Officer, are you ready to proceed?
Yes. Mr. Hemphill, I'm going to call your attention to a few things. But one of the first things we're going to listen to are the dispatch radio recordings from the night in question. They've already been made, Your Honor, they've already been made, will be made part of a collective exhibit that the two officers are coordinating as we've been doing everything else. And for the record purposes, the entire audio is quite long, but I'm going to go to the 8-minute and 37-second mark, and I believe you as a witness will recognize what's happening. Okay, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
We're going to do it very similar to what we did yesterday as it relates to what you heard, et cetera, okay?
All right.
Now, I'm going to hit pause. I'm at 100%. We ran into the same situation as Stingle yesterday. We'll try it again. Before we go much further, can you hear that, Mr. Hemphill?
No, sir.
I even had Miss Tanisha help me. You can try a few more seconds, see if it gets better. The good news is we're not seeing anything, but were you able to hear that?
Very faintly, yes, sir.
All right, between the doors and the keys and I'm gonna do the best. If you can't hear something, you just tell us, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, proceed, John. First of all, whose voice was that?
It sounds to be like Officer Martin.
Was that a recording from the night of the Tyre Nichols arrest?
Yes, sir.
And you said that sounds like Emmitt Martin?
Yes, sir.
$29.38, where it rains and Ross. St. Louis to Florida. Suspect is running down Ross.
Do you recognize that voice?
Yes, sir.
Whose voice was it?
That was my voice.
You're 2938, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Young male, black, slim build, blue jeans, and a hoodie.
Sounds to me like you're what?
Out of breath.
We earlier saw your body cam in the attempted arrest of Tyre Nichols at Ross and Range Road. Are these calls lined up at that time frame?
Yes, sir.
Is that why you're out of breath?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, found on Ross. We left off.
By the way, we've heard that a few times. What is the dispatcher asking you
She's asking what were the charges.
on the fleeing?
Suspect, yes, sir.
And do you recall an answer ever being given by you or anyone else to the dispatcher?
No, sir, not that I recall.
Do you know why? Do you know why you nor any of the officers announced to the dispatcher what the charges were? Slip your mind or what?
Yes, sir, just slipped my mind. I wasn't even listening to the radio because at that point I was helping Haley.
Proceed again at 10 minutes and 29 seconds.
Yeah, the Scorpio unit over at the facility place.
Who was that?
It sounded like Officer Martin again,
And what is he asking?
asking if there were any other Scorpion units in the area
And to what?
and to start heading to this area.
Now, if that call goes out to you as a Scorpion team member or a Memphis police officer, what does that mean to you for you to do?
You need to get there if possible.
Well,
If
if
you're not,
if none of us are cops, you say if possible, what do you mean by if possible?
if you're not tied up on another call, if you're not in the middle of a traffic stop, you need to drop everything and head to that location.
What would happen if you decided, I'm not going on that call?
Realistically, other cops will start talking about you.
Would you be disciplined?
Possibly, yes, sir.
Back on at 10:36.
When I started on the route.
He was en route to that area to assist.
Back on at 10:45. Did you recognize that voice?
It sounded like Officer Mills.
And is that Mills saying he's on his way as well?
Is asking the dispatch for the last four of the CAD for, I assume, on a previous stop, and then he's going to head that way.
Okay, you're using acronyms, things like that. CAD is,
Computer automated dispatch. Anytime something happens to where the police are called, it generates an event number so that everything is in numerical order for what happened during that day.
and does that allow the officer to look on the CAD, the computer in the car, to find out what's next to do?
Yes, sir.
Back on at 10:56.
Negative 2938.
You're 38, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What were you asked?
She was asking if I still had eyes on the suspect.
What was your response?
Negative.
Back on at 11:27. Did you recognize that voice?
It sounded like Officer Justin Smith.
And what did Justin Smith ask?
Can we set up a perimeter?
What is a perimeter?
We know the location where the suspect was last seen. Can we get officers in that area to make sure that they're still somewhat in that neighborhood?
Back on at 11:40. I'm gonna hit pause there at 11:49. The dispatcher said something about a radio call, all Scorpion cars. What did she say?
Can all Scorpion cars head to that location of Rains and Ross?
Did she use the word pull down?
Yes, sir.
What does pull down mean in cop language?
Pull down means can you just pull over where your partners are to assist them?
It's an officer needing assistance. Go
Yeah.
then.
Yes, sir.
Back on at 11:49. That's Justin again asking the same question, right?
Yes, sir.
Moving on at 11:59. What did the dispatcher tell Justin in his request for perimeter?
That there weren't any more cars.
All right. Going on at 12:03. Whose voice was that?
That sounded like Officer Martin.
The he that he's referring to is who?
Mr. Nichols.
Moving on at 12:23.
Negative, we just saw him running down Ross.
That's you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're responding to Martin's call.
Yes, sir.
Who is 2933?
I believe that was Officer Martin.
And in pursuant to policy, if a police officer uses one of his weapons, taser, spray, what are y'all supposed to do?
Yes. So per policy, we're supposed to alert a supervisor and call the fire department.
And that's what that call was about,
Yes, sir.
to inform dispatcher.
Yes, sir.
All right, and then if we're listening for your supervisor, that would be Lieutenant Dwayne Smith, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And his number is 2901.
Yes, sir.
All right. Back on at 13. All right. I heard dispatcher call at 2901, and then I heard someone say check. Was that Lieutenant Dwayne Smith?
Yes, sir.
Because we're not police officers, and I'm just asking, is that Dwayne Smith saying, hey, I heard that transmission?
Yes, sir. In police language, the word check is just easy way just to say okay.
Moving on at 1311. Whose voice was that?
Officer Justin Smith,
What's he telling dispatch to do?
to have the fire department head to that location based on the fact that he knows at least pepper spray was used.
I got a silly question. You have a lieutenant being paid to be the supervisor. He didn't make that call, did he? The lieutenant.
Not that I can hear, no, sir.
Assume that you're hearing everything, okay?
Yes, sir.
Dispatch, does dispatch know the policies and procedures of MPD that says if chemical spray is used to go ahead and roll fire department?
Yes, sir.
But that call appears to be Justin telling dispatcher to do it, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on at 1323. voice? Whose
I-
voice?
I wasn't able to hear that voice.
It's okay. We'll move on. Whose voice was that?
It sounded like Officer Justin Smith.
And is the he that he's referring to the suspect?
Yes, sir.
Is it our, I'm just asking for my own edification. Is it my imagination that I'm hearing the cops call outs much clearer and louder than I hear the dispatcher? Or is it just because the dispatcher, to your knowledge, is just a low talker?
I'm saying with you, the cops are coming through more clearly and dispatch is a little more mumbled.
And did you find that to be common as a roaming out there, that dispatchers kind of quiet and mumble?
Yes, sir. There were times that we would have to tell dispatchers, hey, can you speak up or you're coming in muffled?
Okay. Moving on at 14:15.
Like a camouflage jacket, like orange, green, and red, and it's gonna be wild head, swim here.
Whose voice was that describing the suspect?
It sounds to be Officer Martin.
Back on at 14:40.
He couldn't that far.
Is that also Emmitt Martin that we just heard?
Yes, sir.
Moving on, 14:48.
2938, did y'all also read that I deployed my taser?
And who was that?
That was my voice.
And what are you doing?
Just making sure again that the dispatcher knew that I used my taser.
Is that pursuant to policy?
Yes, sir.
Moving on at 14:57. What'd she say?
She told me that she does have it written down on her system that I use my taser, and she does have the fire department en route.
Moving at 15:04. Just before I start. So at this point, Tyre Nichols has not been captured. Is that right?
I don't believe so. Yes, sir.
You haven't heard it on the radio, have you?
No, sir.
Okay. So at this point, at least from the radio standpoint, Mr. Nichols has not been captured or spotted.
Right.
And yet, you, Justin, and who knows, maybe somebody else, have let dispatcher know to get medical over there. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
The first one happened to be Justin Smith, but then you did it as well, right?
Yes, sir.
And the officers, it sounds like to me, have reported to their supervisor the pepper spray, the taser, and a fleeing suspect to the supervisor through the dispatch radio system. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Back on at 15:07.
One now, one.
Mike, whose voice was that?
Lieutenant Smith.
And what is Lieutenant Smith asking the dispatcher for?
Can she check to see if there's a canine officer available to help search the area?
Moving on. 15:19.
Where they tag you see what they do.
Whose voice is that?
Sounds to be Officer Martin.
And whose tag is he asking to be run?
Mr. Nichols.
Moving on at 15:32.
I gave a tag number on there, here, information
Emmitt Martin again?
Yes, sir.
And what does he ask you, the dispatcher, for?
To run the tag, and can you get the address off of the tag?
Why is that helpful?
Because if the suspect lives near, they're possibly running to their house.
Doesn't that assume that the owner of that car is the one driving the car?
Yes, sir.
And at this point, did any officer out there know who was driving that car?
No, sir.
Moving on. 1603.
Well, of course, we do with southbound on road.
Whose voice was that?
Sounds to be Officer Mills.
And what's he saying? What's he communicating?
That he has located the suspect southbound on Ross, and then he said we're at Ross. Like, what was the other street? No one able to hear that.
I would suggest he says Ross and Cascade, but the question I want to ask you is, you know Mills' voice pretty well, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Is he pretty quiet, pretty calm, pretty laid back?
Yes, sir.
Did he sound pretty calm, laid back in that radio call?
No, sir.
What's it sound like to you, knowing Mills and the way he talked?
That he is running after somebody and needs other cars with him now.
Playing at 1632. What was that?
The dispatcher just repeating the address of Ross and Castlegate.
Is that for who to act upon?
Any officer that has a radio tuned into that frequency.
For which precinct?
Ridgeway Station.
And Ridgeway Station, is that a large precinct with several cars, several officers, what?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Moving on, 1647. Do you know what that was?
I couldn't hear all of it.
Who was speaking?
It was the dispatcher.
Did you hear an address?
All I heard was Castlegate.
Would it help if I rewind it 10 seconds?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear about it that time?
Yes, sir.
There's an address on Cascade, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is that the dispatch responding to the earlier call on running that tag?
Yes, sir.
You're sure of that?
Yes, sir.
Hitting play at 1654. Whose voice was that?
Sounds like Officer Justin Smith.
How would you describe Justin Smith's voice in that radio call?
Just distressed and currently fighting with somebody.
And what is he asking for?
He needs more cars with him now.
He needs assistance.
Yes, sir.
Hitting play at 1712. That's at 1720-ish. That's dispatcher speaking. And what is she telling officers in the Ridgeway precinct?
Is there anyone available to assist with officers with a suspect that's resistant and running?
Playing at 1724. By the way, you mentioned earlier that if you're not really in the middle of anything, you're really doing a whole lot, you should go back on that call from the dispatch to the entire precinct. What are the officers being ordered to do?
To head to that location if you're not stuck on anything.
I don't want to take issue with stuck on anything. What do you mean by stuck on anything?
You're not stuck waiting on a tow truck to tow a car that broke down in the middle of the road. You're not still on a traffic stop trying to issue a ticket for speeding. If you're sitting in a parking lot waiting for a call, you need to head to this location now.
Well, I'm gonna throw a hypothetical at you. You're a Memphis police officer. If dispatcher says all cars pull over to 6547 Council Gate, you're saying that if you happen to be waiting on a tow truck, you can keep waiting on the tow truck, or do you need to go give officer assistance?
Memphis PD would rather you wait for the tow truck because other officers would.
Who was that?
I wasn't able to hear.
That's all right, move on. You probably couldn't make that out because I couldn't, right?
No, sir.
Moving on. Whose voice was that?
Sounded like Officer Justin Smith.
Wasn't quite as clear as before, was it?
No, sir.
Sound like he's actively engaged in something?
Yes, sir.
What's he doing?
He's still fighting with the suspect.
And sometimes, even though somebody makes a radio call out, you hear background noise. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear background noise on that call? Or do you want to hear it again?
Can I hear it again?
Sure. You actually heard two voices, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Is that the background noise I was talking about?
Yes, sir.
Could you make it out what the other person, the mystery person, was saying?
No, sir.
Hitting at 1825. How about that? Could you hear that a little bit better in the background?
Yes, sir.
What did the person say in the background?
Give me your hands.
What do you say?
Can I hear it one more time?
Sure.
Give me your motherfucking hands.
So the call is Justin's voice going out, but you hear someone in the background saying, "Give me your motherfucking hands."
Yes, sir.
Do you have any idea whose voice that was?
It sounds like Officer Martin.
That's dispatch calling for Justin.
Yes, sir.
Is it because she wants to know his exact location?
Yes, sir.
Moving on at 1851. Whose voice was that?
I wasn't able to tell by that voice.
You want to try again or not? Move on.
We can try one more.
All right. Whose voice was that?
That was Officer Haley.
He's 2935.
Yes, sir.
Moving on at 1931. Whose voice is that?
Sounds like Officer Mills.
How's he sound?
Out of breath.
Moving on at 1936. That was Mills again, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Moving on. Whose voice was that?
It sounded like Officer Justin Smith.
I'll play it again, see if you hear anybody else in the background. Who's that?
That's Officer Smith still.
Did you happen to hear what intersection was that Justin? Sure.
No, sir.
How long have you known Justin Smith?
About 3 months.
Would you describe him as a composed person?
Yes, sir.
Moving on at 2004. Who is that?
Lieutenant Smith.
And was he confused, or could it be that Justin put out the wrong street name?
He sounded like he was confused with how the dispatch was saying the street name.
Moving on at 2026. Whose voice was that?
Officer Mills.
Dispatch had actually called for Justin 2931 saying, give us your location again, and Mills answered. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is that common?
Yes, sir.
If somebody's busy doing something important, another officer standing there can make a response. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
And that's what happened there.
Yes, sir.
Mills responded, hitting play at 2041. All right, first of all, whose voice was that?
Officer Haley.
That's 2935.
Yes, sir.
And what was he telling dispatcher?
Telling the dispatcher to go ahead and start the fire department because the suspect was pepper sprayed, tased, and everything.
By the way, you were back at Ross and Raines during these transmissions, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Were you listening to them?
Yes, sir.
And when you heard that transmission, did you draw any conclusions whether or not the suspect was in custody yet?
Normally when he called the fire department, it's the suspect's in custody.
Custody is defined as what, sir?
At least having the handcuffs on him.
Handcuffs and anything else?
under control.
How about searched?
Wait, searched. Yes, sir.
By the way, at Rawson Range Road, did anybody search Tyre Nichols?
No, sir.
Moving on at 2125. I couldn't make that out. Could you?
Yes, sir.
What was it?
It was Officer Mills also just advising that pepper spray was deployed.
Okay. So we can't say dispatch didn't know about all this, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
And if I remember from your body cam yesterday, when Engine 55 rolls up, which I think we're about to hear, when Engine 55 rolls up, what do you tell the paramedics that get off the fire truck?
That the suspect was pepper sprayed and tased.
And did you mention to the paramedics that you had been fighting with the suspect?
Yes, sir.
So at least at this juncture, everybody on this radio frequency, MFD, everybody knows there's been a fight, there's tasing, spraying, fleeing. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
2134. And what was dispatch telling the officers right there?
She was telling 2935 that the fire department was already en route.
We're at 2140. Any play? I didn't recognize it. Did you?
No, sir.
Go ahead on the plane.
Twenty-nine thirty-eight, Engine 55 is waiting to clean over here with me. Take care. Devil two, bring the suspect up here.
Okay, my math is right. About 15 seconds went by from the time Haley said, pepper spray, tase, everything, to you calling saying paramedics are on the scene with you at Range and Ross. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, where I go to do, we gotta get up.
Ah, so who's 2932?
2932. I don't remember.
Did you hear what 2932 said? We were at 2214 when the last police officer made that call. Moving forward.
Twenty-nine thirty-eight, does the fire department need to come down to you, or are you bringing them back down here? Get them down here, bring them down here.
All right. A little bit unusual to use a person's name on the radio. Is that right?
No, sir.
Emmitt? Whose voice was that speaking to you?
Justin Smith.
And what was he telling you?
He was just telling me that the fire department needs to come to them.
He'd already told you once, right?
No, sir. That was the only one that I can recall when he answered.
Okay. But does Justin sound to you, based upon your knowledge of his voice inflection, be a little bit put out?
Yes, sir.
And he says, Hemphill just sitting down there. Just send him down here to us. Is that what he said?
Yes, sir.
And did you follow that direction?
Yes, sir.
And by the way, what rank, not title, but what rank did you have at the Memphis Police Department?
Just regular officer.
And how's that work? Patrolman 1, Patrolman 2, how's that work?
So you have patrolman probation, then you have regular patrolman, and at the time it was sergeant, lieutenant, and on up.
We'll stop at sergeant. Okay, so it's probationary, or whatever you call it, patrolman, and then sergeant. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Justin Smith's rank at the time of this incident was what? Same as you?
Yes, sir.
Patrolman.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're heading that way now.
you?
Yes, sir.
Saying what?
That I'm sending the fire department that way now.
You have testified in numerous environments, FBI, Department of Justice, State of Tennessee, District Attorney's Office. You have given your statements, and some of those statements have been sworn to. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And let's just look at the sworn statements, sworn testimony that you've given. You were asked, and I'm asking you today, are you familiar with Justin Smith's reputation during organized crime?
Not too familiar since I only knew him 3 months.
Okay, we'll do it that way. Do you recall your sworn testimony when asked to describe Justin Smith's reputation and your opinion of him?
Very caring, laid back, and understanding.
And does kind and gentle ring a bell for you in front of the grand jury stating that about Justin Smith?
Yes, sir.
Was that your testimony?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
It's very similar to what you just said. I just want to make sure you did in fact testify that way about Justin Smith.
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by kind and gentle? And did you say compassionate as well? What did you say?
Understanding.
Understand. Yeah. Describe for the jury what you mean by kind, gentle, and understanding.
Anytime I had a question or anything, I would always ask him. He wouldn't ask questions. He would just help me out at the best of his abilities. There was a time where I was probably going to be sent off of the team because I wasn't producing stats. So he told me ride with him in his car for a couple of days so he can help me get on track to doing what the Scorpion team needs to do.
He also gave you some advice about what officers to stay away from too, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
Did you follow his advice?
Yes, sir.
May I have a moment with my client? John. John, I'll pass the witness. All right. Perry's next. You need this up?
Good morning.
My name is John Perry, and I'm here on behalf of Tadarrius Bean. I think, other than you, Mr. Bean would have been the newest member of the Scorpion unit back when you were on the Scorpion unit, right?
Yes, sir. If I recall, he was only there a little bit longer than me.
About a month longer, is that fair? And Mr. Zuma asked you a series of questions, so I'm not going to go through all of that. I'll probably be here for 5 minutes, but Mr. Zuma asked you before he sat down questions about how many different times you've talked and testified, et cetera. You've been pretty consistent, right?
Yes, sir.
To be honest, you've been precisely consistent from day one about what happened, about your people on the team, right?
Yes, sir.
And part of that, right?
Yes, sir.
And those communications were recorded, right?
Yes, sir.
Those communications were pretty pleasant, and they just talked to you, asked questions, right?
Yes, sir.
There was no kind of browbeating, I'll call it. But was it?
Not too much. No, sir.
Yeah, it's a little bit different when you're across the street, right?
Yes, sir.
A little bit different when you're talking to the DOJ, right?
Yes, sir.
They try to, in particular, get you to change stories sometimes, right?
Yes, sir.
They use that same word, they browbeat you, right?
Yes, sir.
There was recorded transcript, 8 pages, where they tried to get you to change the fact that you heard somebody's hand on a gun, right?
Yes, sir.
And you didn't change that, did you?
No, sir.
You also were asked questions during that same grand jury testimony regarding whether or not you knew Tadarrius Bean, right?
Yes, sir.
And I think you characterized it in that testimony, and tell me if I'm wrong, it didn't talk much,
Right.
right?
Yes, sir.
Is he a pretty quiet guy?
Yes, sir.
And he said that he seemed like a good officer, right?
Yes, sir.
He said he was shy and just handled his business the right way.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
true? Anything about him, and you were asked specifically during that same inquiry where I was talking about the 8 pages where they took you through the ringer about whether or not you heard a gun. You said you stuck to it. I heard it, and we found out you did hear it, right?
Yes, sir.
But when you're asked those questions regarding Mr. Bean, he asked you specifically, have you ever known him to use excessive force? And did he have a reputation for using excessive force? And you remember your answer?
Yes, sir.
And what was the answer?
I don't recall any excessive force or anything used by Officer Bean.
You ever heard any kind of problems regarding his character and his reputation in the MPD?
No, sir.
Ms. Perry. My old law partner gonna make me have to tell a story. I said I was gonna be a few minutes, but it's gonna be just a few minutes longer.
All right.
Do you remember going through an exercise with Memphis Police Department where they sprayed your face with pepper spray?
Yes, sir.
What happened during that? Can you kind of talk to us about what that exercise is?
So that exercise to the police academy, they spray you with your own pepper spray. And the whole point of the exercise is you got to work through it. You can't just give up. So during that, they ask you a series of questions like what's your license plate number? How long have you been in Memphis? After that, you have to believe it was you had a training dummy laying on the ground. You have to try to handcuff them while you're still fighting the pepper spray. And then there's also another training dummy where you have to do a few strikes to them to also, you still got to keep working through this pepper spray.
You were asked a couple times about pepper spray and how strong. Now on that night back January 7th, 2023, when you're making the stop, you had been driving, correct?
Yes, sir.
And are you at night? Have you always worn glasses since you've been driving?
Yes, sir.
And on that particular night, did you have your glasses on?
Yes, sir.
And I remember you saying that you sprayed everybody, but yours hit the brow and up, right?
Yes, sir.
Did the brunt of it hit the eyeglasses during the time that he was spraying, if you remember?
If I remember, most of it hit my forehead and then it started going down.
Okay. So it wasn't directly in the eyes, in other words, right then, correct?
Right. Yes, sir.
Now I remember on that night you talked on your with your camera some 50 odd minutes. There were 2 different body-worn camera segments, and you talked for a long time. But it seemed like that whole time you were what I call hotting, what have you, but you're clearing your voice, clearing your throat. Can you tell the jury why you have been clearing your throat and catching your breath during that time frame?
So the pepper spray that they used at the time, it blinded you, obviously, and it also affected your breathing and closed up your sinuses. Hence, hacking up because you're trying to get it out of your system. And if any of it's in your nose, they also tell you in the academy, to breathe it out your nose. If there's anything in your mouth, you got to get it out.
When you get a burst of that in your eyes, is it possible to see as good as you can see right now?
No, sir.
Matter of fact, but for a few feet in front of you, can you see anything?
No, sir.
And on that particular night, do you remember that intersection?
Yes, sir.
Was there anybody out there stopping traffic and saying, hey, y'all stop, we got to run across these 4 lanes of traffic?
No, sir, not that I remember.
Or were you running out there in the dark, basically, after having some pepper spray in your eyes?
Yes, sir.
All right. And was a pretty difficult experience.
Yes, sir.
Now, at the academy, yes. This is the bad part. Yes. prior to us playing, Yana, may we approach? All right.
Sidebar. This is their only hope, Vic. Like I said, yesterday they called up TBI Special Agent Baker, and it went fucking horrible for the defense because we're on defense now. The state is rested. They called 5 witnesses, and that was it. They rested. They're trying to keep it simple. To whereas defense is trying to throw really defense is throwing out so much bullshit just to see what sticks and to create that doubt that that they were justified in killing Tyre, basically. But they called Special Agent Baker to the stand, and all 3 defense attorneys were leading in some more shit, and he wouldn't fall for it. He wouldn't go for it. He answered straightforward. He answered how it was supposed to be. He would answer and they would try to cut him off and move on to the next question. He's like, no, let me finish. And he straight up said, because they were asking him about the stolen credit card and shrooms. And he said, first of all, they didn't call me to investigate that. We don't even deal with that as TBI. I was called in because y'all killed Tyre, basically, or they killed Tyre. That's what I was supposed to investigate, because they kept trying to hound on the stolen credit cards and debit cards, which the first witness never once said that they had video proof that it was Tyre swiping the cards or nothing like that. Just the cards was in his possession. So there's that. That didn't really help them because, like I said, they provided no proof. The lady said, I just started getting notifications, and then they really tried to... They basically used a vet to try to disparage Tyre. Then turn around, they brought Agent Baker up, special agent, and he wasn't going. He wouldn't let them lead him and coerce him into certain narratives. It got to the point where they started hollering at him. It was that fucking bad. And now we're on Preston ass. So this is really their only hope. I'm curious to see who else, because they said they had DNA experts and all of this other shit coming. So I'm curious to see who else they have. But yesterday was a shit show. It was. That shit yesterday was, yeah. All of us was like, is this the prosecution witness or the defense witness? Because it's bad. And I loved it for him, every bit of it. Because every time Perry, the black bald head one, every time he walked away, his head was hanging low. Zumac hollered at his... Zumac is buddies with Baker. That's the real fucked up part. And Zumac hollered at him.
Court stands recess.
Court is in recess. Judge, I need you to address this hour-long fucking delay this morning. Besides, we just had to take care of some things. No, what is some things? Why did you already be starting late as hell? The court's supposed to start at 9. We don't start until 9:15. Yada yada. But we didn't start until damn near 10:10 today, or 10:15. That is wild. Yeah, you are an hour fucking late. We're already going into recess. Y'all only been you only been on the stand for what, 45 minutes? I don't know what I don't know what I don't know what the judge is doing. I don't. I have no idea what the hell he doing. So Sunday is based on a year. So basically, anything I've done from today's date, so 5/1 of 24 to 5/1 of 2025, I have 1821 now, because I was stuck at 1801. But it's only based on a year. So if like the live that if I did a live on 4/29/24, those hours are taken away because it's only on a year, basically, if that makes sense. Because the other day I had told people, I said, I fucking lost watch hours. How the fuck do you lose watch hours? And that's when I looked into it. It's based on a year. So any lives you've done prior to that year date you started, you lose, basically. Yeah. And because I don't go live like that, and I don't really do lives like this, 8 hours, 9-hour lives, of course my watch hours wasn't going to be up like that. And because I don't do the drama and get into all of that shit, no, my watch hours are not going to be up like that compared to some channels. It's just not, because I don't entertain that stupid ass shit. I don't know. We shall see, because like I said, actually my average viewer time, it was 30 minutes, but that went down to 17 minutes. So my average viewer watches 17 minutes and dips. So and I have more returning viewers than new viewers, Let me see something. No, them motherfuckers still ain't got it. You would think they would have closed caption on here, but they don't. Possibly Sunday, but I honestly, after this trial, I'm probably gonna take another break. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. After I did the Fed trial, I did the same damn thing. Of course, I didn't televise it because it wasn't televised, so I couldn't stream it because feds, they don't allow cameras in court. So, but I probably gonna take a break. And I have no idea what trial I'll cover next, because I don't think Robert Brooks' trial is coming up anytime soon. I think it'll happen more so at the beginning of next year, because y'all got to remember these courts are slow as shit. Even though you have a right to a Fair and speedy trial. Speedy means within a year. That's what speedy is. And last I heard, there was a delay in their pleas or something because they were supposed to be pleading or something like that. I'd have to go back and read it again with Robert Brooks because I think it was 5 again. 5, yeah, 5 that got charged. I don't know what's up with the number 5, but yeah. So the last time was April 15th that they had went to court in Oneida County. The judge informed some of the officers who requested additional time to deliberate that he would need a decision from them today. However, when the time came, none of the officers had reached a conclusion. Attorneys representing Nicholas Gentle, Anthony Farina, David Kingsley, Nicholas Kiefer, and Matthew Gallagher provided various reasons for the lack of answers. They cited recently receiving discovery information from the prosecution that morning, which required review, as well as difficulties accessing previously obtained discovery due to technical issues. The judge told 4 of the 5 officers to return on May 13th, with the prosecution agreeing to keep the offers available until that date. Should the offers be declined at the time, the attorneys will need to file motions on the same day. 1 officer is scheduled to return on May 19th. So that's where we're at with that. I want to know why only 5 of them, though, were charged when, because I still have the pictures. I posted everybody. There was like 8 or 9 of them. They all took turns. So why is only 5 of them being charged? Wasn't it like 12 people total, including now the nurses didn't throw punches. I'll say that. No, they just stood idly by, grinning and smiling and shit, and thinking this shit was funny. So there's 2 people right there. But the other 10, what happened? All right, hold on. Let me read. 5 of the former correction officers charged in the beaten death of Robert Brooks have asked for more time. They're among the 10 prison guards who have, they have been indicted in the death of the Grease man incarcerated at Marcy Correctional Facility. In total, 6 correction officers are charged with second-degree murder, 3 are charged with manslaughter, and 1 is charged with evidence tampering. Yeah, see, I've been following Tyre's stuff so much, I haven't really kept up with that one and who all what got charged with what. And being going back to the video and piecing together why this one was charged with manslaughter compared to, I can tell you who does do a good job with that though. Duty Ron. I highly recommend him. He stays on top of that stuff, I will say. I'm trying to figure out though the tampering with evidence. Is that because they were cutting their body cams on and off? Yeah, I recommend watching Duty Ron stream on that because he stays on top of Robert Brooks, and I think that's because it's closer to him, and he has a lot of connections. This man is a former officer, detective, so he has a lot of connections that I don't have, you know. But he has stayed on top of Robert Brooks' case, and he stayed on a few others as well, but he has stayed true to the Robert Brooks case. Duty Ron don't fuck around. He doesn't do that dumb shit. He doesn't entertain dumb shit. He minds his business. He keeps his head low and go on about his day. Now, there has been some that have came for him, like Betty bitch ass, Chili's, baby back ribs ass bitch, her ass. I'm sorry. Making fun of anyone that has cancer, you're a low bitch. A low bitch. Real low bitch. When I heard her say that shit, I ain't fuck you. That's why I don't like that bitch at all. I don't think there's no hope for her. And I be trying to say, there's hope for everybody, not for that bitch. Ain't no hope for her ass. She been doing the same shit for how long on this platform and been getting away with it. Damn. Judge Robert Barr. I don't know how to say his last name. I think it's Barr, I think. I don't know. Read the defendant's charges and arraigned them. Some people in the overflow courtroom were shouting, "No bail." News 10 was in the overflow courtroom for their arraignment. See, we don't have that shit here in Tennessee. We ain't got overflows. We ain't got none of that. Now, in Fed court, yeah, they have. It's a hell of a lot nicer than 201. But it is the Fed, so there's that. But 201 is run down. It's like I said, they've been proposing building a new jail and courthouse because, like I've told y'all, 201 serves as our city jail along with our city courts. You have divisions, and well, you'll hear like me and Pika say, "Shit, if it goes upstairs, you're fucked." That means if it goes up to the second floor, that's state, and if state picks up your charges, 9 times out of 10, you're fucked. So when you hear us say, yeah, they sent it upstairs, that means it was sent to state. Lower level, which is like traffic court, small misdemeanors and shit like that, that's on level 1. But if you gotta go to court upstairs, you're fucking with state. And don't nobody want to go upstairs. They want that shit downstairs. It's a mess. I mean, it just goes to show. Look at what happened. Shit, the first week, the first 2 days, these folks didn't have air. And that is a very common thing that happens at 201. Like, he's laughing and joking like that shit was funny. But no, that's common at 201. Like I said, if that courtroom is hot, imagine the prisoners that are stuck. They're overfilled. They got too many people in pods. That's why the shit that's been happening, like they caught one pod on fire. One level is completely gone at the jail section because they set that motherfucker on fire. If you go to level 4, I'm going to pray for you. If they send you to the 4th floor, you better beg, pray, punch somebody, stab somebody or something so they can send your ass to GP. Or not GP, PC. Because level 4, those are the motherfuckers that ain't got nothing to lose. They're lifers. They know they're never going home. And a lot of times what they do is they stick the mentally ill and stuff on level 4. They have fucking stabbings up there every day. So if you ever go to jail at 201, do not let them put you on level 4, because I'm telling you, you gonna see some shit you never thought in a million years you would see. Kitty cool it is. I'm not lying about that. Level 4 is the motherfuckers who ain't got nothing to lose. So it doesn't matter if I shank your ass up. It doesn't matter if I break your neck. Like real shit, level 4. Go back to the Leicester Street massacres. Watch the interrogation of Jesse Dotson. Listen to Carolyn and her partner. Because it was on the first 48 too. Go back and listen to them when they sat here and said, "We gonna throw your ass on the 4th floor. You want that?" And he started crying. Jesse knew what that meant. We gonna throw your ass on the 4th floor and you ain't gonna survive a day in there. Jesse knew. That's when he started crying and shit. Don't put me on the 4th floor. Don't put me on the floor. Even Project Pat has rapped about the 4th floor. Everybody knows, stay the fuck away from the 4th floor. Yeah, Jesse was crying about that shit. He was like, do not send me on the 4th floor because everybody know your ass will get shanked, stabbed, and some more shit. What they got to lose? They already there forever. They know this. They know they not going home. And unfortunately, Jesse tried to use that to his advantage by sitting here saying that the police coerced him into confessing because they threatened to throw him on the 4th floor with the real killers. No, Leicester Street was bad. I know one of the kids that survived because she wasn't at home that night. Sierra Dotson, which is, I pray she got the help she needed, but mentally she was fucked up. One of my ex's sister dated her. And mentally she was fucked up. She lost majority of her brothers and sisters. Only 2 or 3 of them survived. Sierra was like fucked up for the rest of her life. I've seen her do some interviews here and there, like maybe last year on different podcasts and platforms, her and her brother. But I couldn't imagine, you getting a telephone call that, one, your entire family's dead. Majority of your brothers and sisters was killed. Then two, to find out that your uncle did it. Yeah. And all the little bullshit he pulled, try to get out of this life sentence, because he got a life sentence. He's never getting out, because Jesse was fucked up, real fucked up. He was sentenced to what, 5 or 6 death sentences? I think it was 6 for each count, basically for every murder that he committed. Because he killed his brother, he killed his sister-in-law, and he killed 4 of his nieces and nephews.
Just one question. We were on the scene that night, and after the incident, and you had at some point described it that this was similar to fighting Bad Bob. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And what do you mean by fighting Bad Bob? What is Bad Bob?
So Bad Bob is a training exercise that they do at the police academy. Like I said, they pepper spray you, and it's drills that you have to do so that you already know how strong pepper spray is, if it gets in your eyes, and how to work with it.
And what did they ask you to do after being sprayed when you're doing the Bad Bob exercise? Can you talk me through?
Yes. So after they spray you, they first tell you, because when they spray you, your eyes are closed. And they tell you, well, we want you to take a couple blinks so that way it gets into your eyes and, they can tell when it hits. They didn't ask like a series of questions like your license plate number, where are you at right now, how long have you been living in Memphis? And then after you answer a series of questions, they didn't tell you to go, I believe it was, do a couple strikes to a dummy. So that way you're fighting with the dummy while you're, still blinded with pepper spray. After you do a good couple strikes, they tell you to move on to the next station, which is a training dummy laying on the ground. And it's handcuffing the dummy also while you're blind.
Is it difficult to handcuff that dummy while you're blind?
Yes, sir.
And is it difficult as far as finding where Bad Bob is even while you're blind?
Yes, sir.
And it is, according to what you said during that evening, that was pretty much similar to what you went through in actual real life that evening. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Was that a typical type of evening where you had pepper spray in your eye and had to run across 4 lanes of traffic?
No, sir.
And was that one of the most difficult interactions that you had while you were with the Memphis Police Department?
It was one of them, yes, sir.
And that was, and as you indicated, it put you all the way back in your frame of mind to being in the academy, having to deal with that.
Yes, sir.
Passing with John.
And you testified in a federal grand jury once, is that correct?
I believe so, yes, sir.
I want to go back to the start. Like I said, I'm not trying to be long. I do want to go back to the start. Okay?
All right.
And it made sense to me because often as police officers, it would make sense for you to say we. I mean, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, and that's just how we do it. If you're going to write an affidavit or complain about what somebody did, you would say the person was observed to do X, Y, and Z, but it may have been other police officers that observed X, Y, and Z.
Yes, sir.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That is how it's supposed to work, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so it's not uncommon for you to say we and stuff like that. I want to separate, what you actually saw versus, the we, okay?
All right.
All right, so we're on that night, and you said we saw Tyre Nichols speeding, but I want to take that apart, okay? Who is it that saw something?
Officer Martin.
Okay. And you've been asked a question before whether or not you actually saw Tyre Nichols speeding. The answer was no, that it was also Martin that said he saw Tyre Nichols speeding. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You were asked previously, so what did you actually see Tyre Nichols do? And your answer was that he changed lanes without signaling,
Yes, sir.
once or twice. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that is a traffic violation, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you see, how do you know that when Martin said, I see him speeding, is that on the radio or something?
Yes, sir.
So you hear Officer Martin say on the radio, I see a car speeding or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Did you see at that point Officer Martin activate his blue lights?
A couple blocks up. Yes, sir.
Color lights on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this car is ahead of y'all,
Yes, sir.
and at this point is Martin ahead of you,
Yes, sir.
and you're further back.
Martin is ahead of me. I'm in the middle, and Haley's behind me.
And you haven't seen this car speeding,
No, sir.
but you've heard Martin say that.
Yes, sir.
You travel some more blocks.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you said a couple or a few, but whichever one, a couple or a few. And Martin activates his blue lights.
Yes, sir.
He doesn't keep his blue lights on, though, does he?
No, sir.
He flips them on pretty quickly.
Yes, sir.
And he continues to travel.
Yes,
right,
sir.
for just a little bit, right?
Yes, sir.
And then he flips them off.
Yes, sir.
And then the cars continue to travel.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we watched the video before of, as Mr. Zuma said, a videographer that did the route. Okay? But it sounds like it's not like even Martin had his blue lights on the whole time during this route, right?
All right. Yes, sir.
Blue light click on. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but presumably the car that was speeding didn't stop.
All right. Yes,
Right?
sir.
I mean, even if you couldn't see it, it's pretty obvious it didn't stop, right?
Yes, sir.
So flick on blue lights, that car didn't stop. Flick off blue lights.
Yes, sir.
And then at that point, what are y'all doing?
They were following Mr. Nichols.
They were following. Now, they weren't pursuing them, are they?
No, sir.
Because it's even against the policy to pursue a car for that offense, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so flick blue lights on, part of the stop, flick them off, and we're just gonna sort of follow the car.
Yes, sir.
That's sort of what's going on.
Yes, sir.
And while y'all are following the car, you see the car do a lane change once or twice without a turn signal.
Yes, sir.
You never see the car going on to incoming traffic, do you?
No, sir.
You never see a car hopping the curb or anything like that.
No, sir.
Y'all are just following and catching back up to it.
Yes, sir.
Y'all do catch back up to it.
Yes, sir.
And when y'all do catch back up to it, blue lights come on.
Yes, sir.
And y'all are in cars that don't look like police cars, right?
No, sir.
They're like Dodge Chargers or something.
Yes, sir.
And they're not marked MPD or anything like that. They're probably black. They're black.
Mine was blue.
Dodge Chargers, the lights are even on the inside.
Yes,
right?
sir.
So it's just that those panel sort of light things.
And I believe it had lights inside the grill on the front of the car.
Y'all catch back up to the car, the blue lights back on.
Yes, sir.
Catch back up to the car's actually stopped, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And it stopped in the left-hand turn lane.
Yes, sir.
with left-hand turn signal on?
I don't.
Now, you've been asked about this traffic stop a bunch,
Yes, sir.
fair to say, is that correct?
Correct.
Did you ever see, you've been asked these questions before, did you ever see Tyre Nichols take a swing at anybody during this traffic stop?
No, sir.
Did you ever see him punch somebody during this traffic stop?
No, sir.
Did you ever see him kick anybody during this traffic stop?
No, sir.
Did he ever cuss at y'all during the traffic stop?
No, sir.
Did he ever spit at y'all during the traffic stop?
No, sir. Not that I know of.
Did he ever threaten y'all during the traffic stop?
No, sir. Not that I know of.
In fact, you actually described what he did as politely resisting.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And you've been previously asked, well, what did y'all do, right?
Yes, sir.
You get out of the car with your gun drawn, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
But then you put it up,
Yes, sir.
is that correct? At some point during this conversation, you pressed the taser up to his leg or something,
Yes, sir.
but at that point, the electricity is not on the taser.
Correct.
I'm not trying to say you taser it.
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you just have the taser pressed up to him.
Yes, sir.
You say something to the akin to, I'm gonna tase your ass. Or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Who says, I'm gonna break your shit?
I believe that was Officer Haley.
All right, so tase your ass, I'm gonna break your shit. He has been, thrown's not the right word. How was he taken to the ground?
I don't recall how he was taken to the ground. I just know we were on the ground.
We saw how he was taken out of the car then.
Yes, sir.
So he's taken out of the car, would you say forcefully?
Yes, sir.
You had told an officer on the scene that he was persuaded to get out of the car.
Yes, sir.
Persuaded to me sounds like there was a negotiation and, ultimately he was persuaded to get out of the car. But he wasn't persuaded to get out of the car, was he?
No, sir.
He was forcefully taken to the car.
Yes, sir.
On the ground,
Yes, sir.
he is being yelled at,
Yes, sir.
he is being threatened.
Yes, sir.
And you do have the taser weapon up to his body.
Yes, sir.
And he is also pepper sprayed.
Not yet at that point.
At some point in this.
Yes, sir.
At some point in this is pepper sprayed.
Yes, sir.
Before he runs away.
Yes, sir.
And that's actually, I should have told you, that's the point going up to the point he runs away. Okay. You've been asked previously, well, is it possible that all that stuff, all those actions, is what made Tyre Nichols run away?
Objection, calls for speculation.
I was going to ask this question previously.
What question has been asked for staff? What question has been asked?
In his prior testimony.
Correct testimony in another hearing? Yes. If I can have the attorney's approval.
On the ground, correct?
Yes, sir.
Threatened to break his ship, correct?
Yes, sir.
Threatened to tase his ass.
Yes, sir.
correct? Pepper spray.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Nichols runs away.
Yes, sir.
Officer Martin say something, and I'll put words, well, what did you hear Officer Martin say when Tyre was being forcibly removed from the car?
To let go of his gun.
To let go of his gun.
Yes, sir.
And to be clear, you're asking questions, and I knew that was what you meant. You didn't hear anybody grab a gun.
No, correct. I
Like
just
you
heard
didn't
Mark
hear a
say.
hand hitting metal or something like that.
Right, correct.
You heard Officer Martin say,
Let go of my gun.
let go. Did you see Tyre Nichols grab for his gun?
No, sir.
You just heard Martin say that.
Yes, sir.
Do you know whether or not Tyre Nichols actually grabbed for his gun?
No, sir.
Did you in fact speak with Officer Martin after this incident? Why Tyre was thrown on the ground,
Yes, sir.
and how this all went so forceful, you admit it was forceful,
Yes, sir.
so quick,
Yes, sir.
with an individual who testified before wasn't even fighting y'all, correct?
Yes, sir.
You described him as resisting, to be fair, correct?
Yes, sir.
You described it as polite resistance, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you were very clear that you would not consider that fighting.
All right. Yes, sir.
Yet he was threatened, yet he was pepper spraying. And as he ran off, you attempted to save him, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, you never went from there to the scene of the criminal activity, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
However, when we watched the body cam video, we heard you tell somebody, I hope they stomp his ass.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
You regret that comment.
Yes, sir.
If we watch more video later, we see another comment about Tyre's face and how he looks after this happens, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you regret that comment too?
Yes, sir.
But would you acknowledge that I hope they stomp his ass? There's something to that.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever heard in this police department of the term or the phrase or the concept of, some sort of street tax or some sort of street justice for somebody that runs for the police?
Not just for Memphis police. Yes, sir.
More general, yeah, not just.
Just police in general.
You grew up wanting to be a police officer, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've heard this before,
Yes, sir.
correct? You've described, or have you described before how you've heard it, especially from older officers?
Yes, sir.
I think you told me, maybe I think you made a statement, officers that don't even want to get out of the cars anymore.
Right. Yes, sir.
That old school, you hear them talking about the street tax.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Nowadays, it's not talked about in terms of street tax, is it?
No, sir.
Is there talk among the officers though that if somebody runs and you get them, that is a chance to get one punch in?
Possibly. Yes, sir.
Do you want to try to get in more than one punch?
No, sir.
Why not?
Because then it's too much.
one punch is justice for running.
No, sir.
Well, what is it?
Just putting handcuffs on them,
Just put handcuffs on.
getting them under control. Yes, sir.
Well, prior you've been asked if somebody runs, correct?
Yes, sir.
That is common for officers or not common? And sometimes officers try to get a little, it's your word, street justice.
Yes, sir.
And you have acknowledged that one punch may be, I don't want to say acceptable, but let's say acceptable.
Possibly. Yes, sir.
For more than one punch, unacceptable.
Yes, sir.
And I think even we talked, a punch can also be called pieces, right? A piece.
Yes, sir.
So one piece, a lot of pieces though, problem.
Right. Yes, sir.
Ultimately, you watched that Sky Cop video, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Is that the stomping that you were hoping for?
No, sir.
Was that beyond anything?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Was that beyond anything that you were hoping for?
Yes, sir.
That's all, Judge.
Briefly.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You talked, Mr. Hagman just asked you about Officer Martin seeing the blue Nissan Sentra speeding, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you relied on that to initiate the stop, or participate in initiating the stop, correct?
Yes, sir.
Even though you hadn't seen speeding at that point.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Am I correct that you did see traffic violations by that blue Nissan Sentra?
Yes, sir.
No, I'm going to interrupt, but this is his witness, and this is leading.
Thank you. What traffic violations did you see the blue Nissan Sentra engage in on the riverbank?
Fleeing from the police and multiple lane changes without a blinker.
And did you see traffic violations by the Sentra on Rains after the turn?
No, sir.
You were asked by Mr. Sumak about your speed and looking at your speedometer while watching the video yesterday. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall what speed you reached on the Rains?
About 60 miles an hour.
And your body worn camera showed the garment that you had in windshield, correct?
Yes, sir.
What does the garment, what does it show when you're exceeding the speed limit?
It turns bright red in the bottom left corner.
Now, did you see Demetrius Haley used soft, empty hands control as part of that stop?
Yes, sir.
When?
When you pulled Mr. Nichols out of the car.
And did you hear Emmitt Martin say, I felt somebody tug on my belt during the traffic stop?
Later on, yes, sir.
During the traffic stop, what did you hear Martin say?
Let go of my gun.
And you reacted to that?
Yes, sir.
At the traffic stop, did he ever say anything about tugging on his belt?
No, sir.
And it's what was said during the stop that was important, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're trained to assess the threat at the time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Again, Judge, I think, this is witness and this is legal.
Your great questions.
I don't have any further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Zuma, anything?
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Mr. Perry?
You were asked a few moments ago about you growing up wanting to be a police officer, right?
Yes, sir.
And you had family members high up in the police department, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you end up reaching that goal as a police officer, right?
Yes, sir.
And you know the term street taxes, Mr. Haggard had asked you 3 months ago.
Yes, sir.
And you also were asked questions about having talked across the street at the federal building, right?
Yes, sir.
And when you talked across the street at the federal building, now you said, he asked you something about testifying one time in front of the grand jury, right?
Yes, sir.
But you actually met over there a number of times, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were asked times and again about Mr. Bean as it relates to street tax, as well as everybody else on that was part of the court, right?
Yes, sir.
And am I correct in your statement that you never heard Mr. Bean refer to a street tax?
Right. Yes, sir.
And you never heard Mr. Bean administering a street tax to anybody, right?
Yes, sir.
And in fact, you were asked questions about you don't.
No, sir.
All right. You did give statements to the feds, to the federal, I guess, to the Department of Justice and members of the U.S. Attorney's Office. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
And you might not, and if you haven't seen them, don't worry about it. But did you ever see a typed up form of the statements that you gave?
Not that I recall.
All right. Do you remember that you were eventually shown videos regarding the incident?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you were first asked questions, you weren't shown any videos, right?
Not that I remember. No, sir.
Right, but when they did show you videos, you said yourself that it looked like Mr. Bean was just trying to get him into handcuffs, right?
Yes, sir.
And you, according to what you said at that time, said that it didn't seem like he's doing anything wrong when you're looking at the video, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else from the state?
Yeah, I don't know what points the videos we're talking about. He wasn't doing anything wrong. We're talking about the point of the video when he and Mr. Smith were pressing Mr. Nichols down and Mr. Martin soccer kicks Tyre Nichols.
They weren't talking about Mr. Martin.
Okay, so they were just asking about the movements of Mr. Nichols.
I was talking about Mr. Perry. Was only asking about Mr. Bean.
Soccer kicks were wrong.
Yes, sir.
All those hits to the face were wrong.
Yes, sir.
Those kicks after he was already on the ground were wrong.
Yes, sir.
Anything else from this witness?
Okay.
Okay. All right, so those are all the questions. Have words, you can step down. attorney's approval.
Another sidebar. Lord have mercy. The fact that, hey Bucci, how you doing today? The fact that Justin said that's not the ass whooping I meant. That's wild as fuck to me.
Getting that door unlocked.
All right, Mr. Desmond, who was going to be your next witness?
Jordan Riley, Your Honor. Jordan Riley.
Sir, do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God? Just going to need to spit out your counsel. All right, Mr. Haley, you can proceed.
Good morning. Would you state and spell your first and last name for the record, please?
This is Jordan, Jordan. House I was living in at that time. We had some friends over for, of course, a Halloween party. Everybody left. The next day, one of the friends that was there lived down the road, drove by the house and called and said, "Hey, there's glass all around your car." Of course, at that point, I go outside and I look at it, and of course, my window had been busted out and a car had been ran through. So,
Halloween of what year?
Would have been 22.
And what was stolen from your car?
Of course, my wallet, which of course had money in it, some debit cards, and some old IDs and stuff like that that I didn't really use anymore on a consistent basis. And of course, I did have an everyday carry, as I do have my my concealed carry license, and it was a Ruger LCP Max.
I'm gonna approach past exhibit 29 to the witness and ask you to flip through those pictures, Mr. Riley.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize anything in those pictures?
Yes.
What do you reckon? Well, does any of that depict things that were stolen from your car that night?
Yeah, the last one.
And what is that?
That would be my high school student ID card.
And for what high school is it?
Paducah Tillman.
Is that what you're talking about was stolen from your car Halloween night 2022?
Yes, sir.
How do you know Tyre Nichols?
I have no knowledge of him or any association to him.
Did Tyre Nichols have your permission to have any of your property at any point?
No, I've never met him.
I don't have any further questions for this witness.
Mr. Zuma.
Sir, you've seen your photo ID. Is this one of the first times you ever seen that photo ID since the night it was stolen?
That's the last time I've seen it, like as far as, it being in possession of somewhere.
And you did do a police report. I don't know if you covered that. Did you do a police report on this break-in?
Yes, I did.
And were those items listed in the police report that you were missing?
That was included in the wallet that I told them that was stolen.
Have you been contacted by law enforcement or family members of anyone at all to say, hey, we have your photo ID?
No.
That's all I have.
All right, State.
Do you know the name Keyshawn Ayers?
Who?
Keyshawn Ayers.
No.
You aware that he was arrested, prosecuted, and pled guilty to a series of car break-ins on that Halloween night in that neighborhood?
I do not. I never got any update on
That name
it.
doesn't mean anything to you.
No, sir.
So you have no idea how your ID ended up in Tyre Nichols' car?
None at all. I went to sleep that night after, of course, hanging out with some friends, and then woke up the next morning and had to file a police report and everything, and then had to be at work the next hour. So.
And how years later you find out somehow that car ended up in Tyre Nichols' car?
Yeah. Yeah. Just finding out about all this.
All right, thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
All right, anything else for this witness?
Nope.
All right, so those are all the questions we have for you, sir. Step down, free to go.
This is Officer Greg Turner.
Oh, okay. So you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes, sir. All right, please have a seat.
Sit down, please, sir. Mr. Turner, will you please state your first and last name and spell it for the record?
Yes, first name is Gregory, last name Turner, GREGORYTURNAR.
And are you currently employed with the Memphis Police Department?
Yes, sir, I am.
And what precinct are you in?
I'm at Range Precinct,
And how long have you been with the Memphis Police Department?
14 years.
And during those 14 years, have you come into contact with Tadarrius Bean?
Yes,
How did you come into contact with Tadarrius Bean?
I was his primary FTO,
And can you tell this jury what an FTO is?
field training officer.
And how does that FTO program work?
When he comes out the academy, he get assigned an FTO, which I was assigned him. It works in phases. We have 4 phases. He comes with me first phase, 30 days. Go to another FTO in the second and third phase for 30 days each, and then he'll come back to me for the 4th phase until he finishes up his remaining days.
And during that time frame after being an FTO, let me step back. You said you were his FTO for 2 of those 4 phases.
Yes, sir.
And so you were the first phase and then the last phase.
Yes, sir. 4th phase.
And after the 2 terms as FTO, did you still work in the same precinct with Mr. Bean?
Yes, sir.
And this would have been around the year 2020 to 2022.
Yeah, so around that time. I can't say what time. I think like 2021, 22, somewhere around there.
And from your memory, do you remember Mr. Bean going from your precinct to the Scorpion unit?
I remember it. Yes, I remember he told me he was joining that unit over there.
And to your understanding, was that an application process, or did you get picked for that unit?
You get picked off the merit of your work, what kind of work activity you have, good work effort and stuff.
And so both as your field training officer time frame and during that 2-year period, y'all were still working out of the same precinct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Can you tell this jury about the officer you know as Tadarrius Bean?
Oh, Tadarrius, he's a humble guy, well-mannered, listen. He's probably one of my favorite trainees, as we call it. He went above and beyond. I didn't have to repeat myself twice, which I really respected in him. Superb young fellow. When I had been causing me into trouble, constantly, listened to me, listened to my guidance, and understood where I was coming from. And just overall, just a good young man during that time frame that I had.
Yeah. During the time that he would have been assigned to you, he was right out of college. Did you know that?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah. And he had, so he would have been around 21, 22 years old.
Yeah.
Pretty young guy.
Young. Yes, sir.
As a young man, did he take his job seriously and show maturity?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. At that age, I wouldn't have thought he was 21 at that time.
In other words, was he getting himself together, or was he got together?
He was put together. You can come involved with that unit that you went to as being a good proven officer on the streets.
And you don't have any critiques of his character at all?
No, sir. No.
Pass the witness,
Yeah. I have nothing, Your Honor.
Just briefly. Mr. Turner, you said you worked with Mr. Bean 2 years, 90 days. Sound about right?
I know I trained with him for, probably 60 days, maybe about 50 to 60 days. But we worked together once he finished his phases. We worked together until he had a year on. He had a year. So That's when he came out probation. So I can't remember when he technically went to the unit, but I know shortly after he came off probation, he went there. So.
And in that time, you knew him to be, you said, a good guy.
Yeah, yeah.
But you would agree with me, good people can make bad choices, right?
Yeah.
That's all I have, Judge.
anything else for this witness?
I don't have anything further.
All right, so those are all the questions we have for you, sir. You can sit down.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, the next witness.
Next, I'm gonna call Taylor.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. All right, glad to see you, sir.
See, John. Yes, sir. Mr. Taylor, will you please state and spell your full name for this court?
Kevion Taylor, K-E-V as in Victor, E-O-N, last name Taylor, T-A-Y-L-O-R.
And, Mr. Taylor, what's your current occupation?
I'm a pastor of a church and I'm an attorney.
And, you're licensed in the state of Mississippi?
I am, yes, sir.
And do you know a person by the name of Tadarrius Bean?
Yes, sir, I do.
And how long have you known Mr. Bean?
I've known Mr. Bean for about 7 years.
Now, you said you're an attorney. You met Mr. Bean 7 years ago. Where did you meet Mr. Bean?
I met Mr. Bean while we were students at the University of Mississippi.
And at that time, how did you first come into contact with him?
I came into contact with him when he wanted to join a fraternity on campus. I was a chapter president of that fraternity, and he was one of the applicants, and I got to observe him and get to know him from that point.
And you said you got to observe him. Prior to being a student at the University of Mississippi, had you had any military service?
Yes, sir. I enlisted in the Mississippi Army National Guard when I was in high school, served all through undergrad and law school as well.
Are you also trained as a firefighter?
Yes, sir. I'm a certified fireman in the state of Mississippi. I joined the volunteer department when I was 15 years old. And then when I got to college, I joined the department in Lafayette County as well. And I served all through college.
And so you've been in contact with people that have to serve as a team. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
And in your experience as a firefighter, your experience in the military, your experience with your fraternity, and your observation of Mr. Bean, how would you describe his character based off of your background and experience?
I would say he's humble. I'd say he's a man of integrity. I'd say he's a man of the truth. And he's a friend, I would say.
And when you describe the integrity that he has, was there a particular situation that occurred while he was, and you said that you were your chapter's president, did Mr. Bean ever serve while you would have been in law school as the president of that same chapter?
He did, actually. So the year after I ceased being the president of the chapter, Tadarrius Bean became the chapter president.
And was there a situation where his character would have been tested at least?
Absolutely. We had some chapter members who took some funds out of the chapter account that they were not authorized to take, in sum of over $3,000. Bean and I found out about it. Of course, I wasn't the chapter president at the time, but he let me know, and I stopped what I was doing. He stopped what he was doing. We went to the bank immediately, and we rectified that situation. And that included confronting those members that had committed that wrong and letting everybody else know what had happened.
And is there anything about his personality, character, etc., that would lead you as a member of the bar, men of cloth, etc., from
and a member of the cloth?
I have raised my hand and taken oaths like all the other officers of this court have done, and I take my oath seriously because I know that there is another judge that's judging on whether or not when we tell the truth or not. So absolutely not. There's nothing that gives me reprehension about being a witness on his behalf.
Good man.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. All right.
Single.
Topic, Your Honor. Topic, Your Honor.
State.
Mr. Taylor, you said in that incident that you and Mr. Perry were just talking about where the money was stolen, Bean was the president at that time,
Yes, ma'am.
and the money was taken, and he notified you immediately, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You all rectified that situation immediately,
Yes, ma'am.
and you all confronted the people who did something immediately.
Yes, ma'am.
So he does know how to do all those things, right?
I would assume so.
That's all I have.
No problem.
All right, thanks, sir.
The court would call Mr. Brian McKinney.
Sir, you solemnly swear affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, that's you, sir. Proceed.
Mr. McKinney, will you state and spell your full name for the court?
Bryant McKinney, Bryant, McKinney, McKinney.
Mr. McKinney, currently you work in corporate security,
Yes, sir. I'm in corporate security leadership.
and McKinney, did you go through the police academy with Mr. Tadarrius Bean?
Yes, sir. I did.
Do you remember what class that would have been?
133rd.
And you, did you know Mr. Bean prior to going through the academy?
No, sir. I did not.
And after the academy, did you all maintain friendship?
Yes, sir. We did.
And in your experience while in the academy and subsequent to the academy, did you work with the MPD after coming out of the academy?
Yes, sir.
That's not gonna amplify your voice. The court reporter is just recording it, so you don't have to.
Okay. Thank you. Good to know.
And you speak up well, just keep your voice up.
Understood.
You worked with MPD after coming out of the academy?
Yes, sir.
Were you all in the same precinct at that time?
No, sir.
And you indicated that y'all did go through the academy together. Can you describe Mr. Bean as a student in that academy?
As a student in the academy, he was always prepared, always seeking to try to help people throughout the academy when we were doing physical fitness or tests or anything like that. He always just had a mild-mannered mentality and always kept a level head to try to just help others just be the best they could.
If somebody came up and said, "Man, Bean's such a loud mouth, I can't believe it." Would that shock you?
It would definitely shock me.
Is Bean pretty quiet guy?
Yes, he is.
Would you consider him a serious guy?
When serious matters arise, yes.
There's a sense of humor, but
Right, yes. I always got a sense of humor, though.
did he take his job and what you all were trying to do as law enforcement officers to be at that time, did he take that seriously?
He did. He honestly did. He felt that the job was very serious and there was a need to kind of help keep the city safe and play his part in doing so.
Now, when you came out of the academy, did you all keep in contact with each other?
Yes, sir, we did.
We're still friends to this day, right?
Yes, sir, we are.
Now, would you describe Mr. Bean as a person just kind of on his own program, or did Mr. Bean try to follow the book, the man by the book?
Definitely a man by the book.
And when you say by the book, do you have an example of how by the book Mr. Bean is?
Yes, sir, I do. When he first gave me the call that he got to OCU, it was a great time for him because he got a take-home car as well. And during that time, he was having some vehicle maintenance issues. And he called me. He was like, do you mind taking me to get something to eat? Because we stayed in close proximity. I was like, why? You have a take-home car. You know, he was like, well, no, we can't use a take-home car if it's not work duties. And so I had to go pick him up and take him up the street, even though he had a take-home car, but he was by the book no matter what it calls for. He didn't use his badge or anything given from the department to, you know, for his own benefit.
So you had to run him, you had to go to his house, run him to the burger store or whatever to get a hamburger. And he had a car outside that OCU had.
Yes, sir.
And that's how by the book he is.
Yes, sir.
Is that how he's always been since you've known him?
Yes, sir, until this day.
Do you have any problems if you have a criticism of?
No, sir, you never have to second guess him.
Now, a few moments ago, I asked you about being in the academy. Did you go through an exercise in the academy called Bad Bob?
Yes, sir, I did.
What is the Bad Bob exercise?
It's an exercise where we were in the gym, if I remember correctly, and we were pepper sprayed. And we were pepper sprayed, and they asked us a series of questions, some related to what is our tag number, and to give the chemical agent some time to kind of really sit in. And after that, we were asked to run down the court and grab a kind of like a dummy that weighed a certain amount of pounds and hit the dummy, if I'm not mistaken, until the dummy stopped resisting. And then we were asked to then try to handcuff the dummy.
Is that a part of an exercise that you think could go into your muscle memory? In other words, if you're in a situation like that, that would help you if you are facing somebody resisting?
Yes, sir.
And if you are faced with being pepper sprayed trying to arrest a person, does that create any difficulties?
Yes, sir. It was still even difficult. They had the videos, but it was still even difficult on a dummy that wasn't moving when we were doing that training exercise.
I'm going to pull up a video and I'm going to ask you if you can identify. Is this been shown to the state? Yes, Sean. Is this queued up? It is. It's him. All right. Thank you. Now, see, can you identify for this jury who that person is?
That's myself. Yes, sir.
And is this prior to you being hit in the face with pepper spray?
At this point, I think we press play is right when they're about to spray me, if I'm not mistaken.
And go ahead, you can just watch it.
Yeah, that's when they sprayed me.
You cut the volume up. Pause it. Little pain, a lot of pain.
A lot of pain.
If you recall, are they saying anything to you at this time?
Yeah, they're. I think they started asking me questions about my tag number, driver license number. Then they kind of told me to gather myself so that I can.
You remember them telling you go fight Bad Bob?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they asked me to point to him.
what you're saying during this time?
Stop resisting.
Stop resisting, stop resisting. And the next person.
Mr. Singleton used the time.
I apologize, I did that.
1:20.
He started this
Video
stuff.
started at 12.
For the record, yeah, he can say for the record.
Video started at 12:22. It stopped at 13:55.
All right, thank you. Now, even today, that would have been about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember that experience to this day?
Yes, sir.
Somebody says that, hey, will you do bad Bob for us in front of this jury? Would that be something that you want to come in here and do?
Not at all.
Now, during that exercise, you're allowed to put one hand over one eye, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're also advised to close the other eye that is being sprayed into, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that's somewhat different than if you have your eyes open and somebody sprays, right?
That's correct.
You think it would have been more intense had you had your eyes open and got a direct spray?
Yes, sir. And to be honest, I still tried to time it and close my other eye.
And so, just as a recap, as far as Mr. Bean's character, you have no criticisms, right?
None whatsoever.
All right. And then the second phase. Even in a controlled environment.
Extremely.
Oh, everything, right?
Very briefly, Mr. McKinney, you're sprayed in one eye at the academy, correct?
Correct.
And the other eye closed.
Yes, sir.
And it looked like, were you pinching your nose so you didn't inhale the pepper spray?
Yes, we were told, if I remember correctly, to kind of cover the nose area.
And they sprayed a closed eye.
Well, I was supposed to be open, but yes.
And then you had to blink.
Yes, blink to get it in the eye. Yes, sir.
That's all.
That experiment that you did with the police department as part of your training, prior to them squirting you in the eye with one squirt, were things tense? Were you scared?
Yes, sir. I was scared. It felt like sand, burning sand in your eye.
Listen to my question. Before they squirted you in the eye, was your life in jeopardy? Were you scared of anything?
No, sir.
And then you get squirted, and you know you have all your friends around you, you have your instructors around you. Did you then panic once you did get shot in the eye with the pepper spray?
I did.
That's all I have.
Is it still Officer McKinney?
No, no, ma'am.
Along with the MPD?
No, ma'am.
Okay. When you were going through bad Bob, this was a training exercise, right?
Yes.
It was supposed to help you all be able to withstand the effects of pepper spray, correct?
To get lifelike experience as close as possible.
Gotcha. And so you only did bad Bob one time at the academy, is that right?
That's correct.
So you're not repeating bad Bob over and over, are you?
Correct.
And are you telling the jury that Memphis Police Department said, hey, when you get out in the streets, punch people in the head? You're not saying that, right?
That's correct. They didn't say that.
They never told you out in the streets, kick people in the head, did they?
No, ma'am.
Just that's all I have.
Anything else? Briefly, just because Mr. Johnson asked the first two questions. Did anybody say, hey, this is a disclaimer as it relates to bad Bob, don't fight a resistor like this?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Did anybody while you're in the academy say this is not the way to actually try to stop somebody resisting? Did they say that to you?
No, sir.
As a matter of fact, did they advise or encourage you to strike bad Bob with a lot of force?
They did.
And that was during a time that they sprayed you, correct?
Correct.
And then after striking him with force, you were asked to put the handcuffs on.
Correct.
Anything else for this witness?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Sir, this all what you can sit down. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, your lunch is en route at back here. We're going to go ahead and excuse you all for lunch at this time. If you can please make sure you leave your notes in your chairs. Please do not discuss the case. We'll call you back in as soon as we are ready for you.
Adjourn to be excused.
Yeah. All of these are just character witnesses. That's it. That's bottom line. That's just what it is. It's character witnesses that are trying to paint these men as choir boys, unfortunately. Of course, we knew that was going to happen, just like we knew they were going to stick to the stolen credit cards and shrooms. We knew they were going to hound on that. That was a given. That's the only thing they can hound on. And the only reason why it was allowed is because the judge basically said it might explain why he ran that night, even though I don't think it does, but I understand why the judge let it be allowed. But because Paul, he did argue, and he was like, Tyre is not on trial. This is bullshit. But, unfortunately, you got to have a fair trial. So, because what'll happen is these motherfuckers will go file an appeal and swear up and down they didn't get a fair trial, yada, yada. And let's avoid that. So let them put all the bullshit they want to put on the stand. Let them bring all their character witnesses that they want to bring. Let them bring all of these folks who claim their credit cards were stolen but never shows a video of Tyre swiping the credit cards. Let them do that. Because I don't want them to have I don't want their conviction to get overturned, basically. So let them have that. If they want to sit here and, paint these men as choir boys, let them. If they want to sit here and try to paint Tyre as, just this hardcore criminal, let them. I hate to say that, but let them. Because at the end of the day, they can absolutely file an appeal and get this shit thrown out. So let them bring whatever the fuck they want to bring to the table and let them put it out there. Let them. It sucks. I know it does. It's the fuck. I don't care about that. Let them come up with whatever the hell they want to put in that court. Let them. Because at the end of the day, they can sit here and run their ass back to court. And I didn't get a fair trial because y'all wouldn't allow this. So let them have it. Let them. No matter how much it hurts to hear it, no matter, we already knew this was going to happen. That's the only thing they can do is hound on the stolen credit cards and shrooms. That's literally the only thing. Now, I also heard where one of the attorneys said they had an issue with the DNA and how it was collected. So that may be an issue that is brought up because we're supposed to have a witness DNA expert for that. Supposed to have police experts with the soft tactics and hard tactics, yada, yada. Let these folks, whatever the fuck they want to pull out, let them pull out their little rabbit hat. Let them think they're doing magic so they can get their ass convicted. Bottom line. In this situation, Kitty Coo, honestly, with how the Fed trial went, they went into custody, but they were out. right afterwards. So it can go either way. They could wait to sentencing, or they could take him into custody now. Me personally, I would love to see their ass taken in custody, but if they're found guilty, they still have to have a sentence hearing, which they still got to do for the Fed trial anyway, because they were convicted. So they still have a sentence hearing for the Fed trial, but they didn't want to do the sentence hearing until after the state trial was done. So I'm assuming they're going to hit them with all this time at once. So that's why I'm like, I'm not even over here getting mad anymore. I'm just kind of like, I knew y'all were going to do that. I knew this is what y'all were going to do. I knew that that was y'all's game plan the whole time. Hell, y'all told us that y'all were going to do it. So let them. Let them put whatever the fuck they want to put on that stand. Let them. Because it still doesn't change the facts of what happened that night. Y'all beat a man to death. Well, Sunday, they shouldn't, but we saw what happened with feds. They went into custody, and 2 of them were released the next day, were home. One of them had to fight to get out. He finally got out, then turned around, went back into custody because he violated his bail bond conditions because he was stalking and harassing his baby mama, talking about be my peace, and talking about he was going to handle her and her boyfriend and all type of shit. So she ended up getting a restraining order on him, which is why Martin is in custody. Martin is locked up now. That's how come you don't see him in court at all, because he's locked the fuck up. Because his PO said no. So, but let them do what the fuck they want to do. Let them. If they want to put all this bullshit on the stand, let them. I know it's hard. I know people get pissed off, but at the end of the day, do we want these 5 fuckers sitting here 6 months later filing a fucking appeal, hollering they wasn't given a fair trial? No. So let them put whatever the fuck they want to put on the stand. Let them. But y'all know the routine. But yeah, because I'm finna get off of here, go eat me some lunch, and come back. We'll be back in about an hour. So I'm assuming around 1:40-ish or 1:30-ish. We should, I don't know if they don't have another fucking delay, because court was an hour delayed this morning. But so today is going to be a long day. I expect a 6 to 6:30 court today. But yes, I will be back after lunch break. So I'll see y'all in a little while. Keep y'all's heads up. I understand it's frustrating. I know it, but don't let that shit piss you off, because we knew that was what was going to happen. We knew they were going to take this route. Let them. Let them try to dehumanize and paint Tyre as a criminal as much as they want to. It does not negate what the fuck y'all did to him on January 10th, 2023. So, y'all, go get your mind right. Go get a break. Go get you something to eat. Do something productive. Touch grass or something. And we'll be back. So, I'll see y'all in a little while. Bye.